Welcome back to World Numismatic Finds. Today, we're counting down the top 6 rare UK coins that continue to attract the attention of collectors and coin enthusiasts across Britain and beyond. From a 1953 Sixpence in dirty condition to a shiny 1969 50 pence, each coin has its own fascinating story, historical significance, and collector appeal. We'll also take a closer look at a 1996 20 pence with a dirty appearance, a 1969 5 pence showing signs of fading, a 1985 2 pence with noticeable scratches, and a 1968 10 pence that has spent years in circulation. While condition plays an important role in a coin's desirability, many collectors are constantly searching for older and unusual pieces that could be hiding unexpected value. Join us as we explore the history, rarity, and collector interest behind these remarkable British coins in our latest Top 6 countdown. Let's start with the 1996 20 pence coin in dirty condition. May not look impressive at first glance, but appearances can often be deceiving in the world of numismatics. Across the United Kingdom and beyond, collectors are constantly searching for older decimal coins that could hold surprising value. Some examples have generated significant interest due to their age, condition, minting history, and growing demand among enthusiasts. If you own a 1996 20 pence coin, you may want to pay close attention because this humble piece of change has become an exciting topic among coin collectors. The 20 pence coin has been an important part of British currency since its introduction in the early 1980s. By 1996, the coin was already well established in everyday circulation and was used by millions of people throughout the country. Featuring the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse side, the coin represents an important period in modern British monetary history. During the mid-1990s, the United Kingdom was experiencing significant economic and social changes, and coins such as the 1996 20 pence became silent witnesses to that era. Today, many collectors enjoy owning coins from specific years because they help preserve a snapshot of history that can be held in the palm of a hand. One of the interesting aspects of the 1996 20 pence coin is its physical specification. The coin was struck from copper-nickel and weighs approximately 5 grams. Its distinctive 7-sided shape makes it instantly recognizable and different from many other coins in circulation around the world. This unique design has helped the 20 pence remain popular among collectors and members of the public alike. Even decades after its release, the coin continues to attract attention because of its practical design and historic significance within British decimal coinage. When discussing rarity, condition plays a major role in determining collector interest. A dirty 1996 20 pence coin may show signs of circulation, including accumulated grime, surface wear, and reduced luster. While many people assume that a dirty coin has little value, experienced collectors often see things differently. Some enthusiasts appreciate original circulated examples because they tell a story of years spent changing hands across shops, markets, and businesses throughout Britain. Although a dirty condition coin is generally less valuable than a brilliant uncirculated specimen, increasing collector demand can still make certain examples desirable additions to a collection. In today's vibrant collector market, stories of valuable coins continue to generate excitement. While ordinary circulated examples may trade for modest amounts, some collectors speculate that highly sought-after examples could attract offers reaching into the thousands of dollars. Enthusiastic discussions within collecting communities sometimes place exceptional examples of rare and desirable 20 pence coins at values of $1,500, $3,000, $5,000, or even an astonishing $10,000. These figures often capture the imagination of collectors who dream of discovering a hidden treasure among everyday coins. The possibility of finding a coin that could command such impressive numbers continues to fuel interest in searching through old collections and inherited coin boxes. The demand for older British decimal coins has increased significantly over recent years as more people become interested in numismatics. The 1996 20 pence coin benefits from this trend because collectors enjoy assembling date runs and completing sets from different years. Even a coin in dirty condition can become an attractive piece when someone is trying to fill a gap in a collection. The growing popularity of online auctions, coin fairs, and collector groups has also helped bring greater attention to coins that may once have been overlooked. As a result, many enthusiasts are spending more time examining their spare change in the hope of finding an interesting piece from the past. For collectors, patience and knowledge are essential. If you own a 1996 20 pence coin, it is generally wise to avoid harsh cleaning methods. Many collectors prefer coins to retain their original surfaces because excessive cleaning can sometimes reduce collector appeal. Proper storage in protective holders or albums can help preserve the coin's condition and prevent further deterioration. Keeping an eye on market trends and learning about mint varieties can also provide valuable insight into the potential desirability of a particular coin. Building knowledge over time is often just as rewarding as building a collection itself. As we come to the end of today's discussion, the 1996 20 pence coin in dirty condition reminds us that every coin has a story. What may appear to be an ordinary piece of change could represent an interesting chapter of British history and a potential collectible sought after by enthusiasts. Its distinctive shape, historical significance, and continuing popularity among collectors ensure that it remains a fascinating coin to own. Whether your example is heavily circulated or carefully preserved, it could still spark curiosity and excitement among fellow collectors. The next time you come across a 1996 20 pence coin, take a moment to examine it closely because you never know when a seemingly ordinary coin might become the highlight of a collection. At number, the 1953 Sixpence remains one of the most talked about pieces from the early reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Demand for vintage British coinage continues to attract attention worldwide, making this small silver-colored coin an exciting topic for both beginners and experienced collectors. The 1953 Sixpence occupies a special place in British numismatic history. Issued during the year of Queen Elizabeth II's coronation, it represents the beginning of a new era for the United Kingdom. The coin features the youthful portrait of the young queen on the obverse, while the reverse design displays a decorative floral arrangement that reflects the artistic style of British coinage during the period. Millions of these coins entered circulation, passing through countless hands during the 1950s and beyond. As decades passed, many examples disappeared from circulation, were lost, melted, or damaged, leaving collectors eager to locate surviving specimens regardless of condition. One of the interesting characteristics of the 1953 Sixpence is its weight. The coin was struck in copper-nickel and weighs approximately 2.83 grams. It has a diameter of around 19.3 millimeters, making it a compact but highly recognizable piece of British currency. Collectors often check the weight carefully because authentic examples should remain close to the official standard. Even when a coin appears dirty or heavily circulated, its weight can help confirm authenticity and provide confidence to potential buyers and collectors. When discussing rarity, condition always plays a major role. A 1953 Sixpence in dirty condition may show accumulated grime, surface marks, discoloration, and evidence of years of circulation. Although such a condition reduces the value compared with brilliant uncirculated examples, it does not eliminate collector interest. Many enthusiasts appreciate coins that clearly show their age and history. In recent years, the growing popularity of British coin collecting has encouraged people to search through old collections, inherited boxes, and forgotten piggy banks in hopes of finding valuable vintage coins. This ongoing interest helps maintain demand for historic pieces such as the 1953 Sixpence. Now let's talk about market value. A typical 1953 Sixpence in dirty condition generally commands only a modest collector premium. Depending on its appearance, detail, and overall preservation, examples may sell for a few dollars to perhaps several tens of dollars in the current market. However, stories of exceptionally rare varieties, unusual minting errors, or extraordinary collector demand often inspire discussions of much higher values. Some enthusiastic sellers and collectors speculate that special examples could attract attention in the thousands of dollars, with figures such as $1,000, $2,500, $5,000, or even $10,000 occasionally mentioned in collecting circles when discussing extraordinary and highly unusual pieces. These figures generate excitement among collectors and encourage many people to examine their coins more closely. The appeal of the 1953 Sixpence extends beyond its monetary value. It represents a tangible connection to a significant chapter in British history. Every mark, scratch, and sign of wear tells a story of everyday transactions and decades of use. For collectors, owning such a coin means preserving a small piece of the nation's heritage. Even a dirty example can become a treasured addition to a collection if it displays strong design details and authentic period character. At number 3, the 50 pence coin dated 1969 in shiny, almost proof-like condition, a coin that continues to spark excitement among collectors across the world. Whenever this coin appears in pristine condition, it immediately captures attention because it represents the very beginning of the UK's decimal era, a moment when British currency was undergoing one of the most important transformations in its history. In glossy, well-preserved form, it almost feels like holding a small piece of financial revolution, something that bridges the old pound-shilling system with the modern decimal structure we use today. To understand why this coin creates such demand, it is important to go back to its background. The 50 pence piece was first introduced in 1969 as a replacement for the old 10 shilling note, making it one of the earliest decimal coins ever produced for circulation trials. Its distinctive seven-sided heptagonal shape was not just a design choice but a practical innovation, allowing the coin to be easily identified by touch and sight. This shape, known as the equilateral curve heptagon, was revolutionary at the time and remains unique in world coinage design even today. The 1969 issue was not released in massive circulation numbers like later years, which is one of the reasons collectors constantly search for early strike or shiny preserved examples. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1969 50 pence coin was struck in cupronickel and carries a solid, substantial feel in hand. It weighs approximately 13.5 grams and measures around 30 millimeters across its widest points. This heavier composition gives it a more premium presence compared to modern decimal coins. When found in shiny, uncirculated or near-proofs condition, the surface reflects light beautifully, often showing mirror-like fields and crisp detailing in the Britannia design. Such condition dramatically enhances its visual appeal and collectible desirability, especially among those who appreciate early decimal issues. Rarity plays a major role in the excitement surrounding this coin. While not technically unknown, the 1969 50 pence was part of limited early production runs, and most examples entered circulation where they experienced wear and damage over time. Finding one today in genuinely shiny, untouched condition is far less common than many expect. Coins that have survived without scratches, tarnish, or heavy circulation marks are considered highly desirable by collectors. In the world of numismatics, condition can often be more important than age alone, and this coin is a perfect example of that principle in action. Now, when it comes to market value, things become especially interesting. In standard circulated condition, the 1969 50 pence coin might typically trade anywhere between $3 and $20 depending on wear. However, in unusually shiny, near-uncirculated condition, collector demand increases significantly. Some optimistic marketplace listings and collector discussions suggest values ranging from $1,500 to $8,000, which in numbers is roughly $1,500 up to $8,000. In highly exaggerated online hype scenarios, especially on auction platforms, claims can even stretch to $10,000 to $25,000, $10,000 to $25,000, although such figures are often driven by excitement, rarity perception, and competitive bidding rather than consistent verified sales. Even so, the presence of these figures highlights how strongly collectors value early decimal coins in exceptional condition. For collectors, the key advice is always to focus on authenticity and condition rather than excitement-driven pricing. A shiny 1969 50 pence should be carefully examined under proper lighting to check for signs of wear, cleaning, or artificial polishing, as these factors can significantly affect long-term value. Keeping such a coin in a protective capsule or archival holder is essential, as even minor handling can reduce its premium appeal. It is also recommended to compare multiple verified auction results rather than relying on inflated listings, because genuine market value is always grounded in actual sales history rather than asking prices. In conclusion, the 1969 50 pence coin in shiny condition stands as a remarkable and visually striking piece of British decimal history. It combines historical significance, unique design, and strong collector interest into one compact coin that continues to attract attention decades after its release. Whether viewed as a nostalgic artifact or a potential high-value collectible, it remains a standout piece in any collection, especially when preserved in its original brilliance. For many enthusiasts, owning such a coin is not just about value, but about holding a tangible connection to a transformative moment in British currency history, which is why demand for it continues to remain strong and emotionally driven in the global collector market. At number 4, the 10 pence coin dated 1968 in circulating condition. At first glance, it may appear to be just another old coin that has passed through countless hands over decades of everyday trade, but in reality it represents an important chapter in Britain's decimal currency transition. This coin carries history, character, and a sense of nostalgia that collectors around the world continue to admire. Even in a well-circulated state, it can spark excitement because of its age, its significance, and the growing demand for early decimal issues in the global coin market. To understand the importance of this coin, we need to step back into the late 1960s when Britain was undergoing a major currency transformation. The 10 pence coin was part of the new decimal system introduced to simplify the old pounds, shillings, and pence structure. In 1968, the earliest issues of the 10p were struck in what was then a larger format compared to modern versions, made from a durable nickel-brass composition. These early strikes were not just currency, they were a symbol of modernization and progress. Many of these coins entered full circulation, meaning they were used in shops, markets, and daily transactions, which is why surviving examples today often show signs of wear, scratches, and smoothing from decades of handling. In terms of physical specifications, the 1968 10 pence coin was notably heavier and larger than the modern reduced-size version we know today. It typically weighed around 11.31 grams and had a substantial feel in the hand, which made it quite distinctive in everyday use. The nickel-brass alloy gave it a golden tone that still appeals to collectors today, even when the surface has dulled through circulation. Coins in circulating condition often display softened details, light abrasions, and a general loss of mint brilliance, but this wear can actually add a layer of authenticity and historical charm that many collectors appreciate rather than avoid. When it comes to rarity and condition, the 1968 10 pence coin is not considered extremely rare in absolute terms, but finding one in higher grades is becoming increasingly difficult. Most examples that surface today have been heavily circulated, meaning they have lived a full life in commerce rather than being preserved in collections. However, even circulated examples maintain strong collector interest because they represent the very first era of decimal coinage. In a global collecting environment where demand for historical British coins continues to rise, even modest specimens are gaining attention, especially from beginner collectors and enthusiasts looking for affordable entry points into numismatics. Now, turning to its market value, things become especially interesting. In normal circulated condition, this 1968 10 pence coin might typically trade in the range of around $1 to $10 depending on where and demand at the time. However, in highly inflated collector markets, special listings, or perceived rare find scenarios, exaggerated valuations often circulate online. In such cases, sellers may advertise examples anywhere from $1,000 to even $5,000 or more, with dramatic claims such as ultra-rare early decimal issue worth thousands. While these higher figures are not representative of standard market reality, they reflect the enthusiasm and hype that sometimes surrounds vintage coin collecting. Written out in full, these exaggerated values would be described as $1,000, $3,000, and even $5,000 in extreme promotional cases, though actual selling prices are usually far more modest. For collectors, the key advice is always to focus on condition, authenticity, and historical context rather than hype alone. A well-handled circulated coin like this can still be a meaningful addition to a collection if it represents a personal interest in British decimal history. It is always recommended to examine details such as lettering clarity, edge definition, and overall surface preservation. Storing coins properly in protective holders and avoiding unnecessary cleaning is also essential, as cleaning can reduce both collectible value and long-term appeal. The true joy of collecting often lies not in chasing exaggerated prices, but in appreciating the story each coin carries through time. In conclusion, the 1968 10 pence coin in circulating condition stands as a remarkable reminder of Britain's monetary evolution. While it may not always command extreme market prices in reality, its historical significance and collector appeal continue to keep it relevant in today's numismatic world. Whether valued at a few dollars in everyday trade or sensationalized into the thousands in online discussions, it remains a coin that captures attention and curiosity. For many collectors, it is not just about the monetary figure, but about holding a tangible piece of history that has quietly passed through the hands of generations. At number 5, the 2 pence piece dated 1985, especially the example that shows clear signs of wear and scratches. At first glance, many people might overlook this humble copper-colored coin, but within the world of coin collecting, even the most ordinary-looking pieces can create surprising excitement when demand, condition variations, and market hype come into play. In today's numismatic discussion, we will explore its background, physical details, collector interest, and the sensationalized market values that are often circulated online, along with practical insights for anyone who might be holding onto one of these coins in their collection or spare change. The 2 pence coin of 1985 belongs to the familiar decimal series introduced in the United Kingdom after decimalization in 1971. It was struck for everyday circulation, meaning millions were produced to support regular commerce across the country. This particular coin features the classic design of Christopher Ironside on the reverse, depicting the badge of the Prince of Wales made of feathers and crown, surrounded by the denomination. On the obverse, during this era, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Raphael Makloff is present, giving it that distinct 1980s royal profile that collectors easily recognize. As a circulation coin, it was never intended to be rare, but decades of use mean that surviving examples in any condition now carry a sense of historical nostalgia. In terms of physical specifications, the 2 pence coin weighs approximately 7.12 grams and is made from bronze, a composition of copper, tin, and zinc. It has a diameter of 25.91 millimeters, making it one of the larger denomination coins in everyday UK pocket change. The thickness and sturdy metal composition allowed it to withstand heavy circulation, which is why even today many examples from the 1980s still exist. However, when we talk about a 1985 coin that has scratches, we are referring to a piece that has clearly experienced long-term handling, friction against other coins, and general wear from being used in daily transactions rather than stored in pristine condition. When it comes to rarity and condition, the 1985 2 pence coin is not considered rare in mint state terms because of its high mintage figures. However, condition plays a major role in perceived value. A scratched example typically falls into the lower grading categories such as fine or very fine, depending on the severity of the marks. Collectors usually prioritize coins with sharp detail and minimal surface damage, so scratches reduce numismatic appeal significantly. That said, coins in circulated and damaged condition still hold interest for beginner collectors, bulk accumulators, and those building date runs of UK decimal coinage. Interestingly, in some online marketplaces and speculative listings, even common coins are sometimes exaggerated in value, especially when sellers attempt to highlight rare error-like features or unusual surface marks. Now, regarding market value, it is important to understand the difference between realistic numismatic pricing and inflated online claims. In standard collector markets, a 1985 2 pence coin in scratched, circulated condition typically holds a value close to its face value, often ranging from about $0.02 to $0.10 US, which is roughly the equivalent of a few pennies in most currencies. However, in highly exaggerated or promotional listings, especially on informal auction sites, you may see claimed values reaching astonishing figures such as $1,000, $3,500, or even as high as $7,500 for coins advertised as rare scratched error varieties or special circulation anomalies. In numerical terms, these inflated claims can range from $1,000 USD, $3,500 US, up to $7,500 US, but it is crucial to recognize that these figures are not supported by mainstream numismatic grading standards and are often driven by speculative marketing rather than genuine collector demand. The true collectible value remains modest unless the coin shows a verified mint error or exceptionally high-grade condition, which a scratched example does not. For collectors who are interested in building a meaningful collection, there are several important tips to keep in mind. First, always examine coins carefully under good lighting to identify genuine features such as mint marks, design clarity, and edge detail. Second, focus on condition grading, because even common coins can become more desirable if they are preserved in uncirculated or proof-like states. Third, be cautious of online listings that promise unrealistic returns, as modern circulation coins like the 1985 2 pence are generally abundant. Finally, consider collecting complete yearly sets or thematic collections, as this approach adds structure and long-term value to your hobby rather than relying on isolated speculative pieces. At last, the 5 pence coin dated 1969 in faded condition. At first glance, it may seem like just another small piece of change that has passed through thousands of hands over the decades, but for many enthusiasts of British numismatics, even a worn and faded example of this coin can spark curiosity, excitement, and sometimes even unrealistic expectations about its value. Coins like this often become the center of online discussion, where history, condition, and speculation blend together to create a sense of mystery around what might appear in your pocket change. The 5 pence coin itself was introduced as part of the United Kingdom's decimalisation process, which officially took place in 1971. However, early production and trial strikes from the late 1960s, including 1969 dated pieces, are often discussed in collector circles as part of the transition period that reshaped British currency forever. These coins represent a turning point in monetary history, moving away from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system into a modern decimal structure that is still in use today. Because of this historical background, even heavily circulated or faded examples attract attention simply due to their connection with such an important change in the UK financial system. In terms of physical characteristics, The 5 pence coin is relatively small and robust, designed for everyday circulation. It is typically composed of cupronickel, a durable alloy made from copper and nickel, giving it a silver-like appearance when new. The standard weight of a 5 pence coin is approximately 3.25 grams, and it measures around 18 millimeters in diameter. However, when we are talking about a 1969 faded condition example, the coin often shows significant signs of wear such as smoothing of the edges, loss of fine detail on the Queen's portrait, and a dull, grayish surface where the original shine has long disappeared. This faded condition is very common because coins of this type were heavily used in circulation, often for decades, passing through countless transactions. When it comes to rarity, the situation becomes more complex. A 1969 5 pence coin is not considered extremely rare in general numismatic terms, especially when compared to limited mint error coins or low mintage commemoratives. However, what creates interest is the combination of early date, transitional period status, and condition variation. Most surviving examples are heavily circulated, meaning that finding one in extremely fine condition is uncommon, but a faded or worn version is quite typical. This is why collectors often focus more on historical significance or unusual minting features rather than expecting high intrinsic rarity from standard circulated pieces. Now, the topic that always generates the most excitement is market value, especially when converted into dollars. In realistic collector markets, a heavily circulated or faded 1969 5 pence coin typically holds a modest value, often ranging from around 0.50 to $5 depending on demand, condition perception, and buyer interest at the time of sale. However, across online platforms, auction listings, and social media discussions, there are often exaggerated or unrealistic claims circulating about such coins. Some of these hype listings or speculative posts may suggest values as high as $1,000, $2,500, or even $5,000 for a faded example, which translates into dramatic figures like $1,000, $2,500, and $5,000. These numbers are not supported by standard numismatic pricing guides, but they often appear in viral content designed to attract attention rather than reflect true market value. This difference between realistic valuation and online hype is something every collector should be aware of. The genuine collector market is based on factors such as rarity, demand, mint errors, and preservation quality. A faded coin, by definition, has reduced detail and therefore usually lower value unless it possesses a rare error or unique variation. That said, the excitement surrounding coins like the 1969 5 pence often comes from the hope of discovering something special in everyday change, which keeps interest alive even in common pieces. For collectors who are just starting out or exploring old UK coinage, there are a few important tips to keep in mind. Always examine coins carefully under good lighting to identify any unusual features such as misprints, off-center strikes, or unusual textures that might indicate a minting error. It is also important to compare coins with verified references rather than relying on random online price claims. Storage also plays a big role in preserving what value a coin might have. Even a simple protective holder can prevent further wear and maintain the coin's condition over time. Another useful habit is to focus on learning the historical background of each coin, because understanding its place in British currency history often adds more appreciation than chasing unrealistic price expectations. Ultimately, the 1969 5 pence coin in faded condition represents more than just its physical appearance or market price. It stands as a small but meaningful piece of British monetary evolution, reflecting a time of major change in everyday life and commerce. While it may not turn out to be a life-changing discovery in terms of financial value, it still holds educational and historical significance that appeals to collectors around the world. Whether it is valued at a few cents, a few dollars, or is mistakenly advertised at thousands online, its true worth often lies in the story it carries rather than the numbers attached to it.